But anyways, let's move now into Kawhi Leonard talk. We talked about him pretty much every other month. We talked about him 2 months ago. We talked about him a month ago. Now we're talking about him in April.
It's getting so weird, man.
It is developing very
weird.
It's getting weirder.
So let's just kind of recap it. Back in, I think it was 2 months ago, we were just wondering, is he ever going to come back? It was really more speculative. We really weren't sure. He was cleared to play, so we were wondering what's going on with the whole situation. Then a month ago, Coach Pop said, we're not waiting for a hero anymore. There's 23 games left. We're going to play with the guys that we have right now. And then there was more talks that, hey, he's getting close to playing. Hey, he's going to start practicing with the team. And then he goes to New York, and now stuff out with Steven Jackson saying that Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili were calling him out. There's a players-only meeting going on. Kawhi still hasn't come back. They were targeting a couple of games for him, and now there's no news going out. So this whole Kawhi Spurs situation is just a complete mess, a complete train wreck. And now San Antonio isn't for sure a lock to make the playoffs. So let's take all of this in and just focus in on Kawhi Leonard. What is Kawhi's future with San Antonio, and what are we making of this whole situation now with 2 months of really digesting all this news in the situation?
To me, I am leaning towards his time in San Antonio's over. Like, I'm getting ready for the end of Kawhi with the Spurs to even be a thing. Because, like, the thing that, like, going back to, I know we didn't talk about the Steven Jackson thing because that kind of happened in between the last time we talked about it. But
yeah, I didn't really take it into.
Well, you can roll your eyes at it, but somebody like Steven Jackson, who's been in that system,
for a year.
Yeah, but like being in there, you kind of like a team like the Spurs. You could be there for a year and know how shit goes.
He was also salty that he didn't get any playing time, and that Coach Pop didn't treat him like he was Steven Jackson.
That could be into it too, and that's probably a reason why Cowherd had him on the show because he knew that would come out. But
sorry, he was there for 2 years.
I wouldn't.
3, technically.
I
4.
would not put it past Popovich to say. First off, for Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili to be loyal to Popovich because of the career that they've had together. And for Pop to go, you know what? I'm not going to do this. Hey, Tony, go do this for me or have this leak out. It kind of goes back to the thing that you always hear where it's like, did this story leak because it just leaked or because so-and-so wanted it to leak? Like, go back to LeBron stuff. Did it come out because it just leaked or did LeBron want this to come out? That's how I feel with this. Popovich wanted that to come out because it's all Kawhi versus the Spurs. Kawhi, I feel, is on the side of, let's see what you can do without me because he wants talent around him because his big thing is you can't bring free agents in to San Antonio.
Is that his big thing?
And Popovich is like, you know what? We don't really need, like, we don't need you. We are fine without you.
I listened back to our topic from a month ago, and you said something along the lines, and I still agree with what I said a month ago, and you said something like that of, let's see, Kawhi's acting like, let's see what you can do without me.
Yeah.
And Pop saying, we're going to show you what to do, what we're doing without you, whatever's going on. Well, they were a 3 seed when we were talking about it then. Now they're a 5 seed. And it's really not too crazy.
They're like a game out.
And the thing was, it makes no sense for Kawhi to do that because you're just saying that, hey, I'm not buying into the system. I'm a big brat. I'm a big child. I'm not going to play for you unless I want to. Why is that going to attract free agents? And let's take away the money side. Why would they want to go to a volatile situation with the star of the team, Kawhi Leonard, and the arguably one of the best coaches of all time and one of the best current coaches in the NBA, Greg Popovich, where they're not getting along? Why would that make any sense, and why would that be attractive? That's like wanting to go to Sacramento. It makes no sense. Unless
at this point, like, 2 things. First off, going on that, because I know I'm giving off my opinion is not Kawhi Leonard's. And obviously, Kawhi Leonard is probably, if I had to guess, not as outspoken as I am.
You don't think Kawhi's outspoken?
More of an introvert.
Huh.
But
hot takes.
The thing is, I would think at this point, maybe this is me speculating, but Kawhi is kind of like, I'm done. Like, after the whole thing of, like, I'm just going to go to, like, oh, he's getting ready to come back to play. No, I'm going to go to New York and rehab. That, to me, said, I'm done. I don't even want to, like, it might even be something where Kawhi's just like, you know what? I'm done with this mess. I just want to get through it. I want to get out of here because it's given me so much anxiety. I don't even like being here anymore, but I feel trapped because of my contract.
I'm gonna go something off of what you said, and then we're gonna bring Dave in. You said anxiety. I think that's something that's huge, and it's not being talked about. We saw Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan talk about mental health in the NBA, and they were very vocal about it. Kawhi Leonard is one of the most introverted stars in the NBA, probably the most introverted star that we have in the NBA. He doesn't talk a ton. He's a very soft-spoken and mild-mannered guy. This does not seem in his mannerisms to do this to his teammates and to his team. So I have to think that this has to be some type of Markelle Fultz situation where this is kind of a mental breakdown and he's not trusting his body right now. It's reported that he's not trusting the Spurs staff. He's not trusting his own body. He doesn't really know if he's healthy or not. There was a ton of speculation 2 months ago. I honestly still think that he's going through that anxiety. I still think he's going through that, and I think he's really questioning if he can still be the same player that he was before and have to carry a team like he had to last year. I don't think it's anything that he has against Pop. I don't think it's anything about free agents. I honestly think he doesn't trust himself to be the true leader of this team with his body currently being the way he is, and I think it's something that has to deal with mental health, and I think it's something that, again, it's tough for a player to talk about it. It's tough for someone that has to be a leader to come out and be brave to say something like that. And I honestly think this is a ton of mental situation that's going on in Kawhi, and I think that it's mainly focused on that situation.
And just right before you come in, then you bring in the topic of, like we were talking about the Tony Parker thing. How then will it help when you've got Tony Parker, an older veteran in the league, going, well, yeah, my hamstring was way worse than yours. Get out here and play with us. Like, how does that then help it? It doesn't. It doesn't help
the situation at all. I think it just kind of builds up an even bigger wall between Kawhi and the organization because, like Sean said, this is a team that was basically, here's the reins from one of the greatest all-time players in Tim Duncan, and now you're the guy to lead this team and to continue the legacy of we're making the playoffs for 18 straight years. Be here, do your job, and play a part of the team because the Spurs are the ultimate team basketball team. I think that, I agree with what Sean's saying as far as there's something more to this than just the injury, and I think we're going to find out a lot more after everything resolves itself. And by resolves itself,
you mean after the season?
I think it's postseason. I think it's potentially if a trade happens. I think it's potentially around the draft time. I think it's really one of the hottest topics during the offseason until something comes out publicly because Kawhi's not going to say anything. It's going to be coming out of from... And the thing is, I don't expect Pop to say anything about Kawhi because that's just uncharacteristic of him. I think a teammate will likely say something. I'm not going to point any fingers at any of the teammates currently, but words will come out from people around Kawhi, what the situation was. But I could totally see it being something mental because, like Sean said, you're medically cleared by the Spurs staff over a month ago now. Your doctors were like, no, there's still something fishy here, but... it's not to say that you can't play because we've seen him out there playing. He didn't. It's not like he hasn't played at all season. Yeah. He had a stretch of games where he looked okay. He looked a little rusty, but not super uncharacteristically bad. So that leads you to believe that you're right. There is some mental issue going on there potentially where he just doesn't have faith in himself, or he doesn't think that he can live up to the standards that have been set for him on this team.
Do you believe, just one question, what you said, where you said, oh, it's not characteristic of Pop, someone else is going to come out and say it. Do you believe the side of, yeah, this player is saying it, but is this coming from this player just wanting to say it, or Pop saying, go ahead, say it?
I don't think Pop has complete reins over if you can talk to the media. He over the years he's kind of let people on his team talk if they want to, but it's always been in a fairly respectful manner. When they're still on the team, when they're not on the team, like you said, things come out. People who have been there are no, it's totally robotic there. You have to do the system or else you're going to get screwed up playing
the whole
time.
Robert Horry thing.
Yeah. You are just a cog in the wheel that is their system to win championships and compete. And that's cool and all, but that doesn't fit every NBA player, and especially now. So I think that there is probably something there where an older player or just a player who leaves the team this year could talk potentially, and just stuff gets out. We live in the era of
social media.
Social media, over communication. So much info gets out there.
Leaks,
man. Leaks like crazy. So that's why I'm putting my money on something will come out quietly during the offseason, and then we'll see if a trade happens. We'll see if he rejoins the team, and we all just brush this under the rug nothing ever happened.
Who's that dude that wrote the bullshit article about the Patriots this year?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's scumbag.
The no fun.
Is that guy in the Spurs locker room right now talking to everybody? Are we going to see a clash between Kawhi Leonard and Greg Popovich? I think it's the thing is it's totally mental, and I'm not saying that it makes Kawhi weak. It makes him less of a leader. I just think it's something where Kawhi, we've seen him before, and he's not a vocal guy.
So Wickersham, Seth Wickersham.
Seth Wickersham. He's a sham himself. So is that article. But Kawhi Leonard, I'm sorry, I'm salty about that.
Yeah, I know you are, because
Anyways, Kawhi Leonard, though, he's not a vocal person, so why would he be vocal about mental illness? And I'm not saying, everyone should be vocal about mental illness, but I think it's probably tough to be in that situation, to be looked on upon a leader and doing your job last year in that playoff series and then having that taken away from you. I couldn't imagine what that felt like in Kawhi being a competitor and then just being up against the Warriors, being up against the super team, and then having Zaza step on your foot and you being out and not being able to be there for your team, and then seeing your team kind of collapse. And it kind of has to be a mental shock there, and then you're trying to come back, you're playing, you have a decent run to the end of January, and then you just start not trusting yourself again. And you're like, all right, maybe I'm not 100%, maybe I can't be the leader out there. LaMarcus Aldridge is doing a fine job out there. I think that, probably somewhere Kawhi feels healthy one day, and then he takes a weird step one day, and he's just like, oh, I'm not okay. I honestly think it's all in his head, and I think it's something that needs to happen during the offseason. Like you mentioned, Dave, I think it's got to be a talk between Greg Popovich and Kawhi Leonard. I think he needs to talk to his team, and I think it needs to be addressed to his team. I think the San Antonio Spurs need to shut down the leaks. I think the thing is that you need to really, in a situation like this, especially if you're dealing with something that is mental health related, you cannot let this leak out, because if Kawhi doesn't want to share this personal information, he does not need to share. What Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan did by being vocal about it is great. It sets a great, awesome example for kids that are going through that look up to these players. But if Kawhi Leonard isn't comfortable sharing it, he doesn't need to be comfortable sharing it. And again, we are speculating right now, but I think that's probably the best thing to do is to speculate, because one makes Kawhi Leonard look like a crazy, off-the-wire bad boy who is going to not play until he gets his way, and the other one makes him look like someone who's suffering from a mental illness, which, again, is nothing to go about, but people see that as a weakness, even though most people go through that stuff.
And the first thing you said, the first way, like the off-the-wall, that I don't think that's how it is, but I do think maybe there might be a little thought in Kawhi's head of like, when am I going to get help here? Like, when am I going to get free agents here?
I think that's bullshit, though. I honestly think you got LaMarcus Aldridge, and LaMarcus Aldridge is balling out right now. If I was Kawhi Leonard, and I'm not, clearly,
but like
I saw LaMarcus Aldridge,
a huge free agent, like
LaMarcus
a LeBron.
Aldridge was a huge free agent.
I'm saying like a LeBron, like a Paul George type.
Okay, first off,
like
Paul
a
George
Kyrie
was a trade.
Irving type.
Paul George was a trade. Kyrie Irving was a trade. That's on Pop to go out and make moves to trade, but they don't have the assets to go out and do that. Luckily, Cleveland and Boston, Cleveland had that Brooklyn pick. And you look at Oklahoma City, they had Victor Oladipo and Sabonis to move to get Paul George. They don't have the assets that really
like, oh, why did the
teams.
Spurs not do that? But that's what I would feel, where I would be coming from with Kawhi. The big thing I think this revolves around is trust. I feel like it's Kawhi, not the whole like, oh, not trusting your body. He doesn't trust the Spurs right now. Like, that trust is broken.
But why? Like, why? That's the thing. That's the thing. The biggest question is, why was that trust broken? How was that trust broken? And if it was, when was it broken?
The whole thing is, I don't know the answer to that.
I know you don't.
Why
I'm just throwing out those questions. What happened?
The thing that I go back to, and I'm looking at this, and it doesn't help, is you have Kawhi, who it's like, he does this, gets a second opinion. You can tell he doesn't trust the Spurs doctors.
Right.
But then you have, like, in that Tony Parker, I'm going back to that, where it's like, I had options too. Obviously, when you have a big injury like that, you can go to LA, Europe, France. I could have gone anywhere, but I trust my Spurs doctors. They have been with me my whole career. I didn't take 2 weeks to go through options. For me, it was a no-brainer because I like to feel we have the best medical staff in the world. That doesn't help the distrust, that like the little break in that trust to have, hey, well, our veteran player says he trusts our medical staff, kind of validating that and saying, we are right, Kawhi is wrong. That's what this whole thing just further pushes this away from getting back on the right track.
Yeah, I can understand where it's coming from, but a couple of things that I think separate the situation is, one is Tony Parker had been with the Spurs for how many years before he had this trust built up in the doctors. You build a rapport with people over time. Kawhi's only been there a handful of years. He is also not the same, like, no injury is the same, regardless of, it's an ACL, MCL, whatever it is. Like, every person's different. Things happen differently. Like, come on, look at the 76ers training staff, how much flack they've gotten for all of the questionable things happen. The Bulls training staff almost killing Luol Deng. Like, there's so many things where, yes, you can have the greatest doctors, but things don't always happen right. Well, and the thing that kind of splits everything different, why Tony Parker versus now Kawhi, I think is Isaiah Thomas. I think that one instance has thrown everything out of whack as far as people are concerned with injuries and trusting their team. Because Isaiah Thomas was hung out by his team, and his career is potentially ruined. His chance of getting a max contract, gone. All of this happened because his team was like, no, it's definitely this. You're fine to play on it for a couple more games. And he just made it worse and worse. And now we see at the end of this year where he's taken off from his team to go have another surgery to try to get himself back into playing shape again. I think Kawhi is a smart guy who understands that just because the team is telling you something doesn't mean that that's what the truth is. Because guess what? To that team, you're just an asset. You're just someone on that team who's there to make them money. And I think that's the right perspective to have, because
Kawhi could be
being family is one thing. And I'm sure that Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili and Tim Duncan were family to the Spurs and family to Pop. But Kawhi might not have those feelings because he might see it from the new age perspective of, look, I'm just a guy playing on this team, and the second that I'm not able to perform, they're going to cut my legs out.
That makes sense, and I see where you're coming from, but I don't know where that would come from because I understand where the thought process being new age, but I don't know where that would come from because there wasn't trade rumors swirling until he stopped playing games after January. They were willing to let him come back whenever he was able to come back. Then he came back, and then he wanted to take time off again. There wasn't a rumor of, oh, is Kawhi going to leave? No, I mean they were just waiting and letting him come back on his time. I think that winning a championship before, being Finals MVP, and then giving the reins after Tim Duncan, that has to be such an honor. And also might be a huge burden for Kawhi Leonard. And even back in March 7th, we didn't really talk about this. This wasn't brought up, but he met with reporters and said that he wanted to be a Spur for the rest of the life. Tom Osborne, not Osborne, because it's Orsborn, of the San Antonio Express News, said he asked whether he would want to finish his career as a Spur, to which he responded, yeah, for sure. Now, I don't know what inflection was it, yeah, for sure, or yeah, for sure.
But it could also be one of those things where it's like, hey, do you want to have pizza for dinner? Oh, yeah, I would like to have that, but is it option? Is it going to be a realistic option?
What's the right and wrong answer to that question being asked by your own media?
Yeah, of course. You're going to say, yeah, I want to.
But the only thing that we've heard from him is that. So again, I mean...
So that's all we can take him on.
Yeah, I'm not saying, you need to say that's a gospel, he's not coming back. Again, but I also doubted the whole Kirk Cousins thing where, I'm not taking the money, I want to go play for a winner. He did that. He went and played for Minnesota. Now, I don't know how much the money was drastic from the Jets and the Browns, but still...
Well, he went all fully guaranteed helps.
He went and, but maybe the Jets were offering fully guaranteed for more money. Again, but he still went and played for a winner. Yeah. I thought it was a ton of BS. Again, they might be, putting a spin on it because you're being asked by the media, but also you got to at least take some of these guys for word. And I don't think Kawhi is known as a liar. So I think if we're looking at all of this, I think it's just got to be a ton of mental situation going on with Kawhi. And I think that it possibly could be repaired, but if Kawhi's not willing to talk about it and he's not willing to open up to anybody on the Spurs staff about what he's going through, or if he's going through anything, because again, this is all speculation, then this is not going to get resolved. And Kawhi will most likely be moved if he's not going to open up and talk about what he's going through, if he is actually going through something. If he's being a drama queen and just wants to sit out because he's not getting the help, then yeah, he's getting his ass traded for sure. But if he's going through a mental instability phase and he's not mentally stable, he's got to come out and talk to somebody about that if he actually does want to be a Spur for the rest of his life.
Well, and part of me feels like this is the main thing of this is the Spur, I'm not attacking the Spurs organization when I say this, but I feel like it's Kawhi versus the Spurs, and the Spurs want to be right. Where it's like the Tony Parker thing, the comments coming out, it's we want to be right, we're right, he's wrong. We're right, Kawhi's wrong. And you don't really get that on the other side. Kawhi's not coming out trying to be I'm right, they're wrong.
Well, hold on. We haven't heard the Spurs say Kawhi's
wrong. The Spurs have been supportive.
The Spurs just said
the Spurs have been supportive, but it's all been a kind of like we said, oh, he's going to come back. But the big thing that I am going back to is when you have players make comments where it's we're right, he's wrong. But to go one thing...
Are you talking about Steven Jackson?
No, I'm talking about just the Tony Parker part.
Oh, okay.
I'm not even talking about Steven Jackson at all because he's not even on the team. But the one thing that I was thinking of when you brought up the IT injury was Brandon actually brought up this week on the Primetime Podcast because he said, Sean, you've experienced too. With us calling games, we've seen athletes in our career say, you know what? I got an ACL injury. I used to be a starter on this team. Now I'm a backup role. Now I'm a six-man. Now I'm a bench player because... my injury just isn't bringing me back to where I was. We don't even know if maybe that's a little part of it. Maybe it's the injury. It's like, yeah, we've seen him for a little bit. He looked okay, but is he going to be the Kawhi Leonard that we remember pre-injury?
Well,
is that going to be part of it?
I think he needs to step out in the court and do that. Like the only way we're going to figure out is if he actually goes out on the floor and does it. And again, there were spurts where he was putting up 26 a night. I think he did it in back-to-back games before. I think he did it in back-to-back games, and then he sat out, and we haven't seen him since in those 9 games. But it seemed like he was coming around. Yeah, he didn't have the same explosiveness, but again, he was still coming back from a quad injury, so that leg explosiveness that he usually has is going to be diminished until he's fully healthy, or at least fully into game shape and fully into fully what's it called? Fully conditioned.
Oh, okay. Conditioned, yeah.
So, I mean, that's going to take time to build up. I just think it's something that, again, nothing's been said either negatively or positively from Kawhi or from Greg Popovich. I mean, there was the Tony Parker comments, but again, that just might be something where Tony's talking about himself and not trying to throw any shade. Yeah, like, we don't know the context of all of these situations and what the intentions are behind any of this. And that's the toughest part is Kawhi might be a Spur because, Kawhi might want to be a Spur, but he might not say anything, and that might, kick him out of town. I don't know what's going to happen, and that's the one thing with this future thing is I think that, with everything that we've seen from Kawhi Leonard, the build, he's a perfect Spur player, but he might not speak up and be vocal about what he's going through or what he's actually, is feeling, whether it's mental issues or it's, the want of having more help on the team. He might not speak up and actually be vocal enough about it that he might be just pushed out of town because he's not speaking up for himself.
That's entirely possible. And I think, like, the easiest way to walk away from the situation right now is just, like you said, we're either going to hear about it from another player or Kawhi will make a statement. I don't think Pop is going to be the guy to break any news. I hope Kawhi feels comfortable enough to make a statement at some point after the playoffs, because he's not going to say anything now. He's not going to say anything during the playoffs if they make them. But the thing comes back to, like, after everything's said and done, I think that he will say something to the public because there's got to be some explanation for this whole situation. I don't think that this is all going to go by, and at the end of the day, we're just going to be like, so what happened to that season?
I think it's a Markelle Fultz situation. Look, we didn't hear anything for those past 68 games. He was injured. That's all we knew. We saw him warming up. We saw him practicing. We saw him with an ugly jumper. Then we saw him hitting half-court shots backwards and drilling them.
Yeah.
Look, we didn't know what was going on with Markelle Fultz. We didn't know where he was, and then Brett Brown came out and said, oh, he's playing in the starting lineup. Or he's playing, and he's going to be coming off the bench. He's going to play in 15 minutes. You're just like, where did that come from? And, Brett Brown comes out and he's saying he's so proud about him. I think there's got to be, at some point, there either has been a dialogue about what Kawhi is going through, and the Spurs are understanding, and that's why we haven't seen massive leaks come out or massive trade rumors come out. There's been a little leaks about, teams are prepping packages for that, but maybe that's just because teams are like, all right, we don't know what's going on, so why not throw it out there if there is something going on? So I think the biggest thing is just that I think the biggest thing that's going to happen is either if Kawhi does come back for the playoffs, then this is all going to be written off, and Kawhi's going to be a Spur for the next 15 years, or we're going to need to see something like Dave said in the postseason, either from the Spurs with a joint statement from Kawhi and the Spurs, or postseason, either a joint statement from Kawhi and the Spurs or from Kawhi himself.
One thing that I'm thinking is, let's say it's not that, and he ends up going to a different team, because at this point, it's what team could he go to? Buzz and Juice on the Outcast talked about, could the Bulls trade for him? Could they get Kawhi Leonard? I saw a thing, I'm looking at it right now, of Colin Cowherd said if LeBron doesn't land in L.A., Kawhi Leonard and Paul George would be a really nice combo with the trio that they have. If he doesn't, and he does end up not being a Spur for life, where does he go?
Well, I had 6 minutes to talk about that. I was leaving the 6 minutes for us. So thank you for taking us to that spot.
Thinking of.
The one thing that I mentioned back into the podcast a month ago, he's worth a top 5 pick. He's worth these team tanking. Let's look at the top 10 at least. What team isn't really tanking and just got there because of a trade? The Cleveland Cavaliers. Could you imagine
if they
going up to Greg
pick?
Popovich, who's upset with his star who's on a 1-year contract, and going up and giving him the 7th overall pick and say, hey, go take your future Kawhi Leonard or your future man in the middle, and like a Mo Bamba or Kevin Knox or Colin Sexton. Go take the next Spur at 7 in a top-heavy draft. Go have fun. Give us Kawhi Leonard. We'll get him off your shoulders, and we'll pay him as well to play with LeBron James.
I could see Mikal Bridges being a Spur guy.
Damn right. Yeah. I think that Kawhi Leonard and Cleveland could be a nice pairing with LeBron James.
Yeah, that would just be scary and like
stupid.
That's a problem. Is like we've gotten to the point where that's
Trade
not
machine.
even unreasonable.
Trade machine.
Ricky's going trade machine. Bust out the tinfoil.
Tristan Thompson.
No,
in
that's
the 7th.
that's for the last segment.
All
Let's
right.
not get ahead
It's
of
Tristan
ourselves.
Thompson in the 7th.
I mean, I feel like they'd have to
I
throw a
think
little
so.
more love in there, but you know, regardless, I think.
But if Kawhi sits out another season, why not trade him? If he's not going to play for you,
But that's
and
the
that's
thing.
the understanding, why not trade
If we're
him?
assuming that Kawhi's just not playing for the Spurs and he will come back healthy and be fine, then yes, you need to give more than that. Like that's the problem. Is Kawhi Leonard is such he was literally the best two-way player in the NBA.
Without a doubt.
Like you there's no way you get equal value, but having to eat Tristan Thompson's contract plus the pick, I think they're gonna have to sweeten that deal a little bit. I think regardless, like
Rodney Hood.
Kawhi leaving is just a shift in power in the NBA.
Rodney Hood's contract's going to be over, so you can't trade him.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Tristan for Kawhi would work. But what else would you want to sweeten the deal? Jordan.
The 7th and a future first.
Yeah, you'd probably have to give up 2 picks. And
Look at the Paul George.
Tristan?
Let's look at the Paul George trade. Expiring contract, one of the best two-way players in the NBA. What'd they get? Victor Oladipo, Sabonis, and did they get a first? I can't remember.
I think they got the Bulls second.
But the thing
Did they get the Bulls
is,
second?
well, technically Kawhi's would be expiring because he's got an option, but
yeah.
he'd deny it and take more money.
Absolutely would. So it's a 1-year deal. It's a very similar situation. And basically their only other lottery pick would be Zizic. And I don't know the odds on them giving up that. Or actually, he wasn't even lottery. He was just a pick
Zizic?
from, yeah.
Yeah, he was like 22nd.
Yeah.
I think.
So non-lottery, but still. Like they don't have a lot of trade pieces on that team because of just the way the contracts are set up.
CD?
That's a Spur pick right there.
I don't know. Maybe throw in CD.
Right? Can you imagine slow-mo and CD on the same
You're not
team?
going to need a small forward. So
hot
just
take here.
Put in Kawhi Leonard.
I'll tell you the one guy that doesn't fit in with the Spurs, J.R. Smith.
Damn right.
I'll tell you, that's one guy
But-
who's not getting traded.
I'd also love to see J.R. Smith
On the
Spurs
Spurs.
uniform. It'd be awesome. But I mean, I don't know. I think a team that has the firepower to do it, probably Cleveland. And what's a way to make LeBron stay? Let's get Kawhi Leonard.
I mean,
Healthy
you guys
Kawhi
are missing
Leonard.
the obvious one here.
What is that?
Just add him to the 76ers.
Jesus Christ.
You want a team with assets? They got assets.
How about that length? Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Rocco. What is Kawhi Leonard playing the 2?
and Dario? Like, come on, like that.
That's your starting 5.
Jesus Christ.
Dario, Kawhi Leonard, Rocco, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid. Suck at length.
Yeah, they make the Bucks
pretty
look
fun.
short.
Yeah. It'd be pretty awesome.
That's incredible.
I got one more for you.
Well, hold on. I'm still talking about 76ers because I mean, like that's
That's
one
a
thing
legit
that
team because they have money to burn.
They do.
And they have assets coming out their ass.
But
But
it's
are they
also
going to
like-
go after LeBron?
Why not both?
Do they have the money for both?
Yes.
No, I'm seriously
well because
asking.
they're gonna lose
Porque
JJ's 20 mil and what Amir Johnson's 12, so that's 32 mil right there. And I don't know Kawhi's contract situation.
But LeBron's going to demand a max.
Yeah,
Right.
And but you'll be able to move other assets as well.
Yeah.
But Bellinelli, I think, has got a decent contract.
Bellinelli and
Ilyasova's got a decent
Ilyasova,
contract.
yep.
So I mean, like they have the money to move. And I think it's definitely worth it to get Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James. But like again, what would that lineup look like? Because that's a ton of big guys. Like I don't know
Literally what you
who's
said
coming
would
off
work.
the bench. Dario's the 6th man, right? And then
Dario would be a
Rocco be the 7th.
6-man. Fultz would be off. Fultz might be starting next year. Who knows? I mean, the way this offseason goes, like you could have him run the 2.
Yeah, so it'd be Ben at the 1, Fultz at the 2, Bron at the 3, Kawhi at the 4, JoJo at the 5.
I mean, that's disgusting. I might put Rocco over Fultz, then have Fultz run the bench. That him and Dario together would be pretty sweet.
But also, LeBron's playing 40 minutes. So
I mean,
LeBron could just run.
he doesn't have to.
LeBron could just run the bench.
He doesn't have to. That's the whole point.
Who would be the point guard? Who would be the point forward? Would it be
it's
LeBron or Ben Simmons?
It's Ben Simmons.
LeBron might be better than Ben Simmons. At least
Ben
from
Simmons
that
is a
point
better
forward.
passer, I think, than LeBron James.
Who's stronger or quicker though?
LeBron James is stronger. Ben Simmons quicker at this point in their careers, respectively. But regardless, they have the ridiculous possibility of just doing something ugly and just twisting the NBA. Like this Kawhi Leonard thing could just break open the NBA. Like it's levels of like Kevin Durant to the Warriors, bad for the NBA at times.
Ricky, who's the team?
Okay, I got 2. First one would be a Clipper trade. I know Western Conference might be Kawhi Leonard for Tobias, and the Clippers give up their 2 firsts.
That's 11th and 12th right now. 11th,
Right
13th,
now,
I
they
think.
would be 11 and 12.
11
Or
and 12.
12 and 13.
Okay.
It's not the worst
So you
thing.
get the
bad.
12 to 13. Tobias would be expiring. Kawhi would basically be
Possibly like Colin Sexton there and Robert Williams if Colin Sexton falls.
the only other one that I could think of, and this one this team would have to hang on to Phoenix.
God damn it.
You got Brandon Knight and then their 2 late picks.
Horrible.
No, they would not take that deal.
Brandon
Just
Knight's
saying.
a bum.
And could you imagine if they would be able to get Kawhi Leonard, then keep the #1 overall pick and like draft a DeAndre Ayton?
How about this? Marquise Chris in the first and the 15th, 16th. Because they already have DeJounte Murray, so why not?
That could work too. I was just saying Brandon Knight because the contract is there.
Yeah, but he's
also,
yeah, like that's
I mean, the Suns are trying to get rid of him.
Well, you can attach like Tyson Chandler's contract.
The problem is Chris is only $3 million.
Okay, attach Tyson Chandler's contract.
Tyson's
expiring, isn't he?
Is he? I thought he's got 1 more year.
No,
left.
he's got 1 year after this.
Okay.
So
signed a 3-year,
that could
$36 million.
Tyson, Chris, and then
and they love old big men, so why not?
So you're saying Tyson
Chandler's
Chris,
a Spur too.
Tyson, Chris, and then the 16, 17.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, why not?
Could you imagine that? And then they get DeAndre Ayton, #1
He's not
overall,
going to the
and
Spurs.
Kawhi Leonard.
He's not.
He's
He's not going to the Spurs. Yeah, because he's already on the Spurs.
Yeah.
He's not going to the Suns. Like I think that
The Clippers were my serious one.
You know, the interesting thing I heard come out was like someone tried to attach him wanting to leave the Spurs because of his shoe contract and needing to go to a bigger because he's under Jordan, I think.
Is he?
Yeah. I want to say that was the rumor.
That's like the quietest.
And that's
shoe
the thing
contract.
is like because he gets no media attention because he's in San Antonio. It was like go find a bigger market.
He was also the quietest guy.
Like I swear that was
he's in. It was March 4th. He's in talks with the Jordan brand.
Yeah,
I got
it was go get yourself a bigger media.
Yeah.
Slice of the pie.
Okay, how about
They
this?
stalled.
What team did we talk about last week?
The Hornets.
No.
The Rockets.
No. Keep guessing.
The Knicks.
Yeah, there we go. We talked about the Mecca.
New York.
What position did we talk about?
They need a
Small forward, and they're going to have a top 10 pick.
Who plays small forward?
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard
Yeah,
does.
he might.
That'd be interesting, huh?
He could fit out there, I guess.
Some Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr.
I mean, that's,
Kawhi Leonard,
I don't know.
KP, and
I don't know.
Enes Kanter
From the
lineup.
comment section, Frank's not the future, man. We got to just stop talking Frank.
Oh, I forgot about
Let's start talking Trey Burke.
Trey Burke, the future point guard.
Yes, someone said that. I love that comment.
Yes.
Anyways, final thoughts. What's the future for Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio? Dave.
I think he's going to stay a Spur. I think, like you said, this is going to roll over and just nothing's going to come out.
Ricky.
Just to be fun, I'm going to say him and PG-13 in LA.
Ooh.
Just to say it.
Oh, God, I hate that. It's so stupid.
Because LeBron's going to Philly.
Real quick, Colin Cowherd doesn't even fucking watch
I'm
basketball.
just saying,
That
just say
motherfucker
it.
sits on his couch after every single show.
I'll put it
and
this
just,
way. He's not going to be a Spur I don't know where.
He just strokes his ego. That guy's a bum. He doesn't watch
draft
sports.
7.0.
He talks to his scouts. He talks to his insiders.
I wish I
he
had
just
scouts.
talks to Skip Bayless and puts it in a different
And
piece
Chris-
of
and
shit
Chris
box.
Broussard. Don't forget about Broussard.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that bum
Who's not
too.
super trustworthy anyway.
Ridiculous. Coward can suck one. He's either going to Cleveland or he's staying in San Antonio. It depends on if he actually talks to the Spurs about what he's going through, if he's going through anything.
Say
But I
Jake
think it's
takes 76ers.
But I think it's mental issues that he's suffering from. Also, Colin, you're entertaining, but I just like throwing shots.